here we are. I say we. Here I am. We're recording. We're live. We're not live. You're watching this way later. This is why it's called a podcast. Podcast gets recorded, and then you guys get to see it later. Kind of like the news, at least from our point of view. So tonight we're going to let you guys in on an experiment, I guess, so to speak. So we're looking at adding new things to the Burnham Project. So we've got Burnham Podcast, and that's what you're listening to right now. And Burnham Podcast belongs to this conglomerate called the Burnham Project, which is it's the Burnham Podcast and it's Destination Hometown. And we're looking at adding new things to it, right? And new projects and new stuff to do. We've got this really cool studio that God has blessed us with, and we've been in production meetings and talking about ways to maximize the assets that we have. So that's what we're talking about doing, more in-studio stuff, different shows. So one of the ideas that we had was a news show, and we've kind of kicked this around for, months now, and it may be January before it gets rolled out and becomes a thing, if it becomes a thing at all. But for the time being, for right now, we're letting you guys in on the experiment that is this news show. So what we've done is write this script. We've pulled out 3 major news stories from today. As we're recording this, it's Monday, December 2nd of 2024. And you guys are going to listen to this on, 3rd, 4th, 5th, December the 5th. Is that right? Yeah. So Thursday, December 5th is when this episode will drop. So these news items will be 3 days old. But that said, what we're looking at is a template. And again, this is an experiment that we're letting you, the audience, in on. You're guinea pigs in real time, I guess, so to speak. But so we rolled this news show out that's going to have today's news items on it, but that'll be here or there. There's some stuff in here that might make you rich if you pay attention to it. So there's still some relevance there, some national news, some world news, things like that. Just a handful of stories. The idea for the show is to be 10 minutes long, cover some major news items, and then get you on with your day and not drag things out for 30, 45 minutes with a bunch of opinions and unnecessary airtime, things like that. Just getting to the point, in and out, bada bing, bada boom, not like Burnham Podcast where we ramble sometimes for an inordinate amount of time. But so here we are. And the working title for this thing is called the Burnham Brief, right? And it's short, and there's other shows around that are kind of like it, and we've borrowed some ideas from here and there and kind of tweaked and tailored a little bit to suit our purposes and our needs. So if this were going to be the Burnham Brief and this show was going to be what you listen to every morning at 8 o'clock or whatever to get your news whenever we get this thing sorted out, it would go something like this. Welcome to the Burnham Brief. We're going to talk about 3 important news topics from Monday, December 2nd, 2024. The first of 3, Ripple's XRP soars to 3rd largest cryptocurrency. Following Donald Trump's victory, Ripple's XRP has experienced a significant rally, becoming the 3rd largest cryptocurrency in a $100 billion surge. Number 2, President Biden pardons his son Hunter. Despite previously stating he wouldn't do so, President Biden has made the controversial decision to pardon his son Hunter Biden. This action has sparked reactions from both Republicans and Democrats. On the back end at number 3, President-elect Trump taps Kash Patel for FBI director. Donald Trump, now the president-elect, has selected loyalist Kash Patel as his nominee for the FBI director. Let's dig into these stories. So XRP, the cryptocurrency associated with Ripple Labs Inc., has surged to become the 3rd largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization, experienced a remarkable rally following Donald Trump's victory in the 2024 presidential election. The token's price rose as much as 15% on Monday, reaching $2.50, with its market capitalization exceeding $137 billion. The significant surge represents a dramatic increase from less than $30 billion on November 5th when Trump won the election. The rally has been fueled by several factors. Trump's pro-crypto stance. Investors are betting on Trump fulfilling his promises to create a supportive environment for digital asset companies in the United States. Regulatory optimism. The anticipated departure of SEC Chair Gary Gensler and the potential resolution of Ripple's legal battles have boosted investor confidence. Market momentum. The broader cryptocurrency market has grown by approximately $1.2 trillion in market capitalization since Election Day. Next factor is trading frenzy. Increased trading activity, particularly on platforms like Robinhood and Coinbase, have contributed to XRP's price surge. There's also EFT speculation. There's growing anticipation for potential XRP exchange-traded funds, or ETFs, similar to those already approved for Bitcoin and their Ethereum. These are names that I should have read. Ethereum, Tango says. Okay, again, you guys are part of the experiment here. And part of the experiment is I should have read this before I got this far in. So XRP's remarkable performance has outpaced the other major cryptocurrencies, surpassing popular tokens like Solana, Tether, which is known as USDT, and Binance Coin. This resurgence marks a significant turnaround for XRP, which had faced years of legal challenges and market uncertainties. On to page 2. President Biden has issued a full and unconditional pardon to his son Hunter, covering any federal crimes committed or potentially committed between 2014 and 2024. This decision comes despite Biden's previous public statement that he would not interfere in his son's legal matters. The pardon encompasses both gun-related charges and tax allegations that Hunter Biden was facing. President Biden justified his decision by stating that his son was singled out and unfairly targeted due to being the president's son. That's a direct quote from Joe Biden. That is not a Danny Burnham quote. This controversial move has sparked strong reactions from both sides of the political aisle. The Republican response is as follows. Of course, many GOP lawmakers quickly condemned the decision, calling it an attempt to evade responsibility. President-elect Donald Trump criticized the pardon, calling it a miscarriage of justice. Some Republicans, like Senator Tom Cotton, acknowledged the paternal instinct behind the decision while still disagreeing with it. The Democrats, on the other hand, many of them have remained silent. Some have expressed disappointment. Representative Greg Stanton from Arizona stated that Biden missed the mark on the issue. Colorado Governor Jared Polis said he was disheartened by the decision, believing it sets a negative precedent. So the White House defends themselves. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre emphasized Biden's commitment to truthfulness and encouraged people to read the president's full statement. First Lady Jill Biden expressed support for the pardon. Of course his mom did. The pardon's unusually broad scope, covering a decade of potential federal crimes, has raised concerns about its implications for future presidencies and the justice system. On to page 3. On the back end of things, President-elect Donald Trump has nominated Kash Patel to serve as the next director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. You might know it as the FBI. Patel is a 44-year-old former national security aide and Trump loyalist, is known for his criticism of the FBI and his plans to significantly reform the agency. Some key points about his nomination are his background. Patel previously served in various roles during Trump's first term, including positions on the National Security Council and at the Pentagon. He's also a bit of a controversial figure. Patel is viewed as a polarizing choice, with critics questioning his qualifications and intentions for the FBI. Of course, he's got reform plans. Patel has advocated for drastic changes to the FBI, including shutting down the FBI headquarters and reopening it as, quote, a museum of the deep state. There's also plans to redistribute FBI personnel across the country and removing senior officials and reforming leadership. So there's also the confirmation process that he'll have to go through. Patel's nomination will require a Senate confirmation, which may face challenges given the controversial nature of his appointment to begin with. There's also the current FBI director who stands in the way. Christopher Wray was appointed by Trump in 2017 and still has 3 years remaining in his 10-year term. For Patel to take over, Wray would need to resign or be fired. The nomination has drawn mixed reactions, with Trump supporters praising the choice and critics expressing concern about potential politicalization of the FBI. The Senate confirmation process is expected to be contentious given Patel's controversial statements and plans for the agency. This has been your Burnham Brief for December the 2nd, 2024, or December the 5th, 2024, or whenever you listen to this. So that's it. That's what it's going to look like. There'll be some tweaking and some polishing to be done. But as far as that goes, that is the general principle, the idea behind our news show. Some of the other things we got in the pipe, we're looking at book reviews, Burnham Book Club. I don't know necessarily what we're going to call that, but we'll look at book reviews. There's a jiu-jitsu podcast maybe on the horizon. We'll talk about it. We get into a lot of that on Burnham Podcast. If you listen to that, you probably get sick of hearing us talk about it. But maybe if we do a separate jiu-jitsu podcast, we won't talk about it so much on Burnham Podcast. What else have we got? Lots of other stuff. There was you might have heard Tango or myself mention this Some Guys Smoking podcast at one point. If you hadn't seen that, there's a couple episodes on YouTube. It's just called Some Guys Smoking. No G on the end of smoking. It's just an apostrophe because they're hip that way. Him and his young buddies. But it's about barbecue, smoking meat, sauces, rubs, temperatures, smoke, all the stuff you get into when you talk about smoking meat. So that's what that would be about. And we're looking at bringing that back as part of the project and of Coyote Media, who's so awesome and takes care of us on all fronts. But these are just some things we got going on, some ideas that we've got cooking, and we'll let you guys in on those. And, we're going to throw mud against the wall and see what sticks. And the things that do stick, we'll run with them if we feel good about them, or you guys decide you like them or don't like them, then we'll run them or not run them based on that, man. But we talked about it in our last episode. We want you guys to be involved in the show, to feel like you're sitting here at the table with us as we're recording things and as these conversations are playing out. So it's a big deal. Your input, your opinions are a big deal. If we do some stuff, we get into some subject or some new show that you guys aren't interested in, we'll quit doing it. Or if there's something you would like to see us do in the way of some type of studio production, let us know, man. And we might or might not be able to do it, but whatever idea you guys pitch, we'll sit down and hash it out in a production meeting and decide whether or not we can do it. And if we can, we will. But, we beat the drum for the last entire episode. 169 was called You Are the Media Now. So if you hadn't seen it, go back and watch that. But it's about how we're unlimited now as content creators, as podcasters, as citizen journalists. So we're trying to tap into that in as many ways as we can. So hopefully something grabs on and sticks and we get some traction with some of this stuff. And hopefully it means something to you guys and it's important to y'all. And you tune in whenever we post some new stuff, because that's why we do it. It's fun for us to do on our end, but it wouldn't be very cool if we did this and got 0 views. So we need you guys to be there and to listen and to participate. And that it just means the world to us when we get likes and comments on posts and on videos and content and things. So if you're doing that, keep it up. If you're not, get started, man. The more likes and shares and subscribes and things we get, the further the message goes and the more people are exposed to our content, and the better it is hopefully for all of us. So with all that said and all that in mind, stay tuned, man. This was going to be a short episode. We're probably going to come in under 15 minutes all told for this episode of Burnham Podcast. But we're glad you guys came out. Thanks for coming back after we took a week off last week for Thanksgiving. But we're back at it again. Next week, we're going to have a full episode. We've got a whole bunch of guests lined up throughout the month of December and then into January. And we'll bring, some old faces back and we'll get some new folks in too. And hopefully we'll mix things up enough for you guys to keep it all interesting. That said, we're going to jump off right here. It's been fun. God bless you guys. We love you. See you next time.